We are fortunate enough to have Mayor Karen Bass on the phone with us right now. Mayor Bass?
Oh, God.
And Rutabaga and Mike, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So I know you are monitoring probably our station for sure and looking at these pictures that you're seeing.
Time
We
to
heard the
suck up
press
to her.
conference earlier today, and we know that the LAPD has certainly had reinforcements. So
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And I will tell you that I am disheartened by what I see. We had peaceful protests this afternoon with thousands of people. And unfortunately, there's always these situations where people hang around that have no intention of supporting the cause of immigrant.
Which is exactly why you do not give them an inch, because they will always devolve into doing this, which is what Trump was trying to fucking tell you, you fucking idiot.
Rights, but their intention is to just create mayhem, and I am disheartened and extremely angry at what I see downtown in terms of the vandalism, the graffiti that has just defaced buildings all over the place, and this is just unacceptable. But I do have to say, Pat, that none of this would have happened if there hadn't been an ICE raid on Friday.
Fucking arrest this chick immediately. None of this would have happened if they didn't raid the illegals. If they just let people just keep being illegal, if no one did anything. Hey guys, hey Mayor Karen Bass, if I don't fucking pay my taxes, if I live in LA, and you come after me, and I fight back, and I say none of this would have happened if you didn't come at me for not paying my taxes. Which one's in the wrong?
And so I believe that this, unfortunately, was provoked by actions from the federal government. I feel like Los Angeles, we're in a laboratory. We're a test case of what happens when the federal government steps in. And
who put yourselves in that position with all these illegals that you allowed being a sanctuary city? Big shock. Big shock.
Takes over power away from the
exactly
governor, away from local authorities.
None of this would have happened if law enforcement didn't enforce the law. Good Lord.
Sending in National Guard when they were not needed just aggravates the situation.
When they were not needed, your city is burning down. What is she talking about? Sending in the National Guard when they weren't needed. Your city, thank God they're there right now. What the hell is she talking about?
LAPD is not in this alone. They are working with the sheriffs. They're working with nearby cities. They join forces with situations like this. And right now, the National Guard is protecting a building. They're not involved in any of this. So one has to ask, why are they even here? And my goodness, the idea that now we need the military instead of the military being fighting a war overseas.
Yeah, we need to fight a war in our own country. Yes, because you failed at your job, Mayor Karen Bass. Yes. This is what we call a mayor that cannot take accountability for their failure. So they start blaming everyone else while their city burns to the ground. Yeah, we understand completely.
Now we're going to have the military in the streets of Los Angeles. This is an experiment that needs to end, and the ICE raids need to end.
So don't enforce law and order? Sounds pretty Marxist of you. Very, very communistic. Miss Bass.
But you know, Mayor, you said that we're going to have the military. Do you know what they are going to do? What powers do they have on the streets of Los Angeles? They're just going to be involved in keeping order at the federal buildings, or are they going to be able to go out on the streets of Los Angeles and deal with protesters?
Well, heaven forbid they go out on the streets and deal with protesters, streets that they have no knowledge of versus our law enforcement that knows this area. But you hit the nail on the head. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know why they're being deployed, except for to be used as a stunt to say that our city is in chaos, and our city is not in chaos.
Maybe keep me honest, guys. Are my eyes deceiving me here? Because all I see is a bunch of smoke, fires, graffiti, and I'm hearing I hear something different. I hear someone telling me that everything's perfectly fine. I'm so confused with the contradiction here.
This is a few streets in downtown Los Angeles. Now, again, I'm not trying to minimize it. I'm furious over this. I'm furious over the amount of money it's going to take to clean up the city when in just a year we're going to be welcoming the world for the World Cup. But this was not warranted. We did not need this type of situation happening. I appealed to the White House. I said, please don't send in troops. That's just going to aggravate the situation.
No, it's going to make you look like a complete fool because you can't handle your shit. And you didn't want them to prove you wrong. And that's what they're doing. They're proving you wrong right now. And you're like, shit. No, we don't need them. Stop. Go away. Go away. We had this handled without you. When you didn't at all.
And that's exactly what has happened. And you know, if you look at it
Please don't send
nationally,
help,
there's a lot of people that think that what is going on in LA is equivalent to what happened in 1992. Pat, you and I were there. You and I know this is nothing like that. This is isolated to a few streets in downtown.
Oh, yeah. So she's thinking, hey, without the National Guard being called in, without actual external assistance, and without the military coming, that this will just die out. That it'll just natural causes, it will just die. It won't keep getting worse and worse because no one's stopping it. Yeah, of course.
Downtown Los Angeles, this is not happening citywide.
Yeah, good point.
And the majority of the people, the overwhelming majority.
Eskil for the 20 says, think I saw some clips of looting happening as well. Yes, that too.
Of the thousands of people that showed up for the rally today were 100% peaceful. I don't know who these people are.
Well, Mayor Bass, we've heard from reporters on the ground. They've described it almost as a tinderbox.
Good point, Jed. Good point. Should be interesting.
People are angry. People are out there. They're facing off now with the military in some instances, with the prospect that the military is on the way, the National Guard. And these ICE raids are not going to stop anytime soon, as far as we know. What do you project for the city in the coming days and weeks?
Well, actually, you know, part of that depends on what is going to happen on the federal government level. So we don't know how long these raids are going to go on. We've heard 30 days. It could be 60. It could be 10. We don't know. We don't know when they're going to happen, where they're going to happen, or why. But what we do know is that what we've seen so far does not warrant the level of aggression that we are seeing. So, for example, when the administration...
Guys, I, again, call me crazy, but did we not see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions upon millions of dollars of cars being burned yesterday and again tonight, with concrete being chipped away, destroyed property, spray paints, looting? What the hell is she talking about?
Came in, they said they were going.
She is like such a prototypical politician where she just says a line, she probably has it written down while she's talking on the phone, or she's just going to say these words, and that's going to be the reality. It doesn't actually matter what you see. What she says is the reality.
Going to go after gang members. They said they were going to go after violent, actors, violent felons. Well, I don't know how many violent felons were at Home Depot. I don't know how you go from a drug dealer to chasing people.
Okay, so now she's harboring criminals and doubling down on that. So now someone who is illegal needs to be doing something violent to be deported. Again, what the hell is the purpose of becoming a legal immigrant if you can just jump into the country and just not break a law and you're fine? The hell is wrong with this thought process?
In a Home Depot parking lot that are day laborers who are just trying to make it from day to day.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any information, Mayor Bass, on the many people that were at the Metropolitan Detention Center? We heard from some families earlier today who were very distraught because they don't know, they haven't received any information about their loved ones or where they could possibly be if they're even still at the detention center. Do you have any updated information?
No, and can you imagine the terror that a family would feel? You know, I mean, are my relatives here? Have they been sent off to the prison in El Salvador? Have they been sent to Venezuela? I mean, this is just a horrible way to basically create a sense of terror in a population that is so unnecessary. Let me give.
She is not fit for her position. This situation right here has proven that to me. She needs to be removed. She cannot be the mayor of Los Angeles anymore if this is her approach to it. That's just I don't know how someone gets voted in unless illegal immigrants are the ones providing her votes. And if that's the case, that would explain everything for her mentality here and why she's defending them so hard. Because she sees each person being deported as a vote loss for her reelection.
Give you a story that's even more egregious than that. We are hearing reports of people who are in the country legally. They have their green cards or whatever document.
Okay, this is bullshit now. We're getting a straw man. This is the same thing we talked about earlier. The straw man, oh, we're hearing reports of a situation happened where someone was a citizen and they took him incorrectly and they deported them incorrectly until they found out they were actually legal and they brought them back. What receipts? Who? What was the surrounding circumstances? Give me more context. You can't just say that as a way of you can't do this anymore. Like, no.
Documentation. Once a year, they have to go to the immigration offices to report in. They're getting appointments, they're going in, and they're being detained and up for deportation.
Good.
And so what that's going to do is that means that people are going to now go undercover, they're going to miss their appointments, and then they will fall out of legal status. They will be.
This logic makes no sense. So she's saying they're not going to try to follow the law properly because they're scared, and because they're scared, that will actually make them illegal, and then they'll get deported. What the hell kind of logic is this?
Become undocumented, and then they'll get arrested. Why would we do this to the nation's second largest city now? How is this supposed to help anything? It would be one thing.
He's doing it everywhere. It's not just LA. They were in San Diego last week. Just because it's in your backyard right now doesn't mean it's just you.
There was some massive problem that we were having regarding public safety on Thursday that warranted enforcement actions on Friday. None of that was happening.
Mayor, I just want to ask you another question. You said earlier today that people that vandalized downtown Los Angeles and committed crimes, that they can't hide.
For real, JJ,
they may not have been arrested right away, but they will be arrested. I want to know, does that still hold, and how difficult is it for people that are out there even tonight with
we covered that earlier, Alucard. Yeah, we saw that.
Masks on?
It is difficult. It is difficult. But I know that investigations will take place, and there's enough people out there without masks on. There's other identifying ways to look at people. And in talking to some of the law enforcement officers, they gave me a variety of examples, not necessarily appropriate to discuss here, but they are able to identify people in a variety of ways, even if they are masked.
So she thinks everything. She's one of those, like, just don't do anything, and magically everything will just end up right. Just don't do anything. Stop doing stuff, Trump. Just let it just naturally happen. And these illegal immigrants will these criminals that entered the country illegally will just speak up and they'll just leave. They'll just take care of it themselves. This is all Trump's fault.
Okay, what can you tell us about? I know, again, you're disheartened watching these pictures tonight, but obviously business as usual in downtown Los Angeles as far as businesses are concerned.
Yeah, well, yes, to the extent they can, but you know that a lot of people are working remotely right now. You know that people are worried about coming to downtown. So, business might be usual in one way, but if this goes on for 30 days, then it has a serious impact.
Mayor, what kind of plans are you making for the next 30 days, assuming that these ICE raids continue, assuming that people continue to pour out onto the streets, and assuming that the federal government continues to send in troops and other resources?
Well, first of all, I don't want to assume any of that. I want to continue talking to the administration and trying to convince them that this is not helping our city. This is contributing to chaos, and it looks very intentional, and that's no way to bring our...
So what she wants is the federal government to back down, show weakness, and let illegals run Los Angeles. Gotcha, Karen Bass. Where's your resignation? Because it should be on my desk tomorrow morning.
City together to prepare for the World Cup. So I intend to...
What's this with the World Cup again? No one gives a shit. Fix your city. What the hell?
Continue appealing. I also intend to continue working with the organizations that have spent decades working with new people that come into our city to see how I can be helpful, how we can educate Angelenos to understand, you know, what they're...
Did she just say, she called them Angelenos? Did she just call people in Los Angeles Angelenos? Don't ever fucking do that again.
rights are. I think that's very important. But I also think it's important for all Angelenos to understand the impact...
Good Lord. I fucking can't with this girl. Oh my God.
that this could have on our economy. So you can have
Oh, so there it is. Comes down to the money. The effect on our economy. That's why we shouldn't do anything. Because money.
Man, for example, a father arrested at a factory downtown LA, and maybe his wife works in a home providing child care or other services on the west side of LA.
They really should have thought of all this before they illegally crossed into a country. How is that anyone's fault? Anyone else's fault? What the hell?
This impacts all of our city.
Yeah, it does. And this will send a message in the future to not do that shit.
It doesn't just impact the people that are being detained, but you know we have another...
Disgusting for the five. Question. If Americans started the same level of protesting against illegal immigrants, would she call for the NG and troops? 100%. 100% she would. I mean, that would actually potentially start a civil war, because the amount of people that would fight back would be pretty close to the amount of people that are fighting right now. But there'd be a 98% portion of the population that just doesn't want to deal with this shit. It would be a 1% versus a 1%. But yes, she would definitely be on the side of the illegals for sure. Thanks for the five-bagger.
Number of industries in our city where the majority of the workers are immigrants. Now, they can be documented, they can be legal citizens, but in their household, they can have people that are not. And so, again, that creates a sense of fear and terror throughout.
Oh, no. That almost sounds like hate speech, fear, and terror. Those are lefty words. The fuck? If you're illegal, you're illegal. What? If someone is not illegal in the household and someone else is legal, or is illegal, then the person that's illegal will be deported. What the hell? If they're going to be fearful, they have a reason to be fearful. How is that anyone else's fault, though? Why is that a bad thing? Them being afraid we should feel bad for? Is she playing on our emotions right now?
Our city, and it was just unnecessary.
Well, Mayor Bass, we're going to wish you the best.
This is, God, I don't love everything Trump does, but I am so grateful for what he's doing right now. This was so overdue, it's not even funny. To send a message to the future for people to be like, no, we ain't cool with this shit. We are going to cause a scene. It might not happen immediately, but eventually they're going to come for you. So don't think about coming in here, setting up shop, getting married, having kids, getting a job, setting everything else up, and then be like, oh my God, I'm afraid I might lose my life here in America and be deported to Mexico. Right. Should have thought of that 15 years ago when you did everything illegally.
Best, because frankly, we're all in this together. So
yes,
we understand certainly how you feel.
Man, I get the news station playing to her because they want her to keep calling in, but man.
Feel how other members of the administration feel, how long.
Eskill for the Nokia 50 says, It's always about the money while politicians fill their own pockets, refusing to help a tale as old as time. Yep.
Enforcement feels at this particular time, and of course, the families that are impacted. So we want to thank you for joining us tonight, and know you have a busy schedule ahead of tomorrow. Probably some of it not necessarily on, planned because things are happening so fluidly.
Oh, this is what I will be focused on 100%. Thank you very much, Pat. Always great to talk to you.
All right, you as well. And we want to thank our
Aborticus Mercanicus, Dementia Suites for the 2. Karen Bass supported Castro. Is that true? Because if so, that's hysterical. I shouldn't be shocked. Kyle Barra, Fear the Huggies for the 2. You need to send Snake Plissken in. He'd fix it. Lol. Escape from LA. Great movie, by the way. Great movie. That's crazy, Dementia Suites. I believe it, but damn. Shocker. Isn't Castro Trudeau's dad? Of course, allegedly. Anyways, I'll leave that there.